All right, let's jump right into this explainer. Today, we're treating this session as a highly classified operational field guide for mastering Focus 12. If you've been around the Monroe Institute's methodology, you already know that this specific state of expanded awareness is the absolute workhorse of the entire system. So we aren't doing a broad overview today. No, we are zooming in exclusively on the hardcore mechanics of Focus 12.
Welcome, practitioners. Our agenda today maps out a strict, step-by-step technical guide for achieving, stabilizing, and really utilizing this state. We'll hit the definition, the induction sequence, deploying tools like remote viewing, architectural manifestation protocols, and finally, data extraction and shutdown.
Okay, Section 1, Defining Focus 12. We're stripping away the fluff here and diving straight into the strict system specs of exactly what this state is and, just as importantly, what it isn't.
So, according to the source documents, you need to think of your consciousness kind of like a radio receiver. By shifting its internal resonance, you're literally tuning into different dimensional frequencies of reality. You're expanding your spatial perception way beyond your physical limits. But, and here's the kicker, you do it all without ever leaving your physical body. It's a highly precise operational phase shift.
Now you might be wondering, why does this matter? Because it proves this isn't just some subjective feeling or a wild imagination. It's an actual, verifiable neurophysiological state. The research clearly shows this state carries a deep theta-dominant EEG signature right there in the 4 to 8 Hz frequency range. It's this wild combination of deep internal attention mixed with a massive spatial expansion.
To really get this, you have to understand the threshold you're crossing. Focus 10 is your foundational baseline, just mind awake, body asleep. You're establishing a separation from physical sensory data through deep, profound muscular relaxation. But Focus 12 requires you to actively push that awareness outward. You're transitioning from just, being physically detached into a highly active, operational state of expanded awareness.
Moving on to Section 2, the induction sequence. Let's break down how this builds into the actual practical sequence required to boot up the system properly.
You've got to execute these preparatory steps perfectly before you even attempt to stabilize in Focus 12. First up is the energy conversion box. Literally lock away all your physical worries. They're just dead weight here. Leave them behind. Next is resonant tuning. You vocalize to match the raw audio waves, which forces hemispheric synchronization in your brain. Finally, the rebow. You absolutely must establish your resonant energy balloon. You visualize a bright moving circle with a 10 inside it, and as you exhale, let that circle surround you to form a completely impenetrable energetic shield. All right, as you phase into Focus 12, I really need to warn you about system feedback. Practitioners frequently report some intense somatic phenomena. We're talking violent, rapid physical vibrations or sudden, intense heat that literally feels like firecrackers going off under your skin, which can lead to uncontrolled sweating. You might even get auditory distortions where your own heartbeat starts sounding like this rhythmic growling. When this happens, and it will, recall the operational advice. You must remind yourself to be like water. Just let the energy flow. Do not resist it. Check out this quote from a practitioner, which perfectly captures the wild auditory anomalies you might encounter during this phase shift. Hearing what sounds like a distant mass of chanting monks is actually a recognized auditory distortion in this state. Knowing this gives you a solid mental anchor. That way, when the system feedback kicks in, you don't panic and break your focus.
Section 3, Tool Deployment and Remote Viewing. Once you're stabilized and the static clears out, we can deploy our primary tools and set up for target coordinate focus. To actually interact with remote targets, you use an EBT, or Energy Bar Tool. This manifestation protocol is your primary directional vector. It's your informational probe. First, you visualize and really feel a highly charged, luminous bar of mental energy. Then, with pure, focused intent, you mentally stretch one end of that EBT across space to your target location. Finally, you allow the remote informational energy to flow right back along the EBT, transducing raw sensory impressions directly into your conscious awareness.
This raw sensory description from a user is fantastic because it vividly demonstrates the intense energetic reality you should expect when you're wielding the EBT correctly. The EBT is a heavy-duty tool. It is definitely not a passing daydream. It should feel visceral, highly charged, and honestly, sometimes it can even feel a bit overwhelming. And here's where it gets really practical. You use this powerful tool to target a specific 6-digit coordinate code. In controlled remote viewing, an independent person puts a target in a blind envelope assigned to a 6-digit number.
By focusing your EBT exclusively on those 6 digits, you bypass your analytical mind completely. This ensures you're actually reading the target data and not just inventing things with your imagination.
All right, Section 4, Architectural Manifestation Protocols. Beyond just passive data retrieval, Focus 12 is your operational base for actively writing data into reality.
So, what does this actually look like? If you want to shift your mode from receiving target data to transmitting your own intent, how exactly do you pattern your goals effectively in this expanded state?
To manage the sheer vastness of Focus 12, practitioners use specific mental structures. One incredibly effective architectural blueprint from the Institute's logs involves visualizing yourself standing in a stone circle surrounded by archways. Each archway represents a gateway of possibility, a specific timeline, or a goal you're actively working towards. Think of the stone circle as your command center's user interface. It neatly and visually organizes the unlimited possibilities laid out in front of you. Executing this checklist is absolutely crucial for keeping your intentions isolated and powerful. During a session, you put absolute attention on one specific goal. You mentally walk entirely through its corresponding archway, and you observe the desired outcome unfolding. Finally, you translate all of that aligned energy into a bright beam of light moving forward along your timeline. This is the exact mechanism for setting a concrete pattern in Focus 12.
Which brings us to Section 5, Data Extraction and Shutdown. We've reached a critical phase here, because getting the data or setting the pattern means absolutely nothing if you corrupt the files during your system shutdown.
Your extraction protocol dictates that you have to remain entirely passive. In Focus 12, you're looking to collect fragmented impressions, a sudden rough texture, a quick flash of red, an abstract shape, maybe a smell or a sound. Do not, under any circumstances, attempt to visually see the target with waking, high-definition clarity. If you force HD vision, you're engaging the completely wrong part of your brain. The data arrives as a sudden thought ball or gestalt, and you have to be ready to catch it.
And this brings us to the most crucial takeaway from this entire operational field guide. You must transcribe your data immediately upon exiting the state. Seriously, the second you're out. If you hesitate even for a moment, your analytical left brain will trigger what's known as analytical overlay, or AOL. Your brain hates incomplete pictures, so it will desperately try to fabricate a logical, yet entirely incorrect interpretation of the raw data you just collected.
This expert insight from a veteran instructor just hits the nail on the head regarding the supreme danger of analytical overlay. If you get a sensory impression of a tall, metallic cylinder, and you think to yourself, oh, that looks like a missile silo, your conscious mind will happily take the wheel. You'll draw a missile silo, you'll describe it in explicit detail, and you'll completely ruin the session, all because the actual target was just a thermos sitting on a desk. You have to separate the raw sensory data from your brain's relentless desire to name it.
So here's the ultimate question for us today. You now possess the technical manual for Focus 12. You know the neurophysiology, the induction sequence, the tools, and the hidden pitfalls of your own analytical mind. But when you finally put on the headphones, when that intense heat rises and those violent vibrations begin, will you have the discipline to remain passive, be like water, and actually face the true expanse of your own consciousness?